According to the ancient Indian text, the Padma Puran, there is a cosmic event so destructive it warns of 12 years of famine and ruin. It's called Rohini Shakat Bhedan, a moment where the planet Saturn pierces the cart of the Rohini star constellation. Beneath that mythological warning lies a strict mechanism of orbital physics. Saturn takes roughly 29.5 to 30 Earth years to complete a single revolution around the Sun. Because of that steady 30-year pace, there are rare, exact moments when Saturn's orbital path directly intersects that cart-shaped cluster of stars known as Rohini Nakshatra. In Vedic astrology, this precise transit is called a Gochar. Comparing these ancient coordinates to the modern calendar reveals a sequence of historical events that follows a strict 30-year rhythm. It raises the question, is this ancient curse actually a mathematical blueprint for major geopolitical shifts? This timeline tracks Saturn's 30-year intervals. It hit the Rohini constellation exactly 4 times in recent history: 1912, 1941, 1971, and 2001. During the 1912 transit, the centuries-old Qing Dynasty collapsed entirely, and the Balkan Wars broke out, stripping the Ottoman Empire of its European territory. In that same tight astrological window, the Titanic sank, killing 1,500 people and forcing international governments to implement the first global maritime safety treaties. 1912 establishes a clear baseline of disruption. Saturn moving through Rohini destabilizes the status quo. But the specific type of chaos, a falling empire or a global war, depends entirely on where the other planets sit at that exact moment. This chart maps the skies during the 1941 and 2001 transits. In both of those years, a rare alignment occurred. Jupiter, known as Guru, and Saturn both locked together within the Taurus or Vrishabha sector. Astrologers called this specific tension Vipreet Raj Yoga. When Jupiter and Saturn share this space, isolated regional disputes tend to multiply into global warfare. In the summer of 1941, Germany launched Operation Barbarossa against the Soviet Union, unleashing a massive wave of mechanized warfare across Eastern Europe. Just months later, the Japanese attack on Pearl Harbor dragged the United States into the conflict, turning a theater war into a true world war. That same planetary pressure triggered massive domestic resistance. In India, Mahatma Gandhi launched the Quit India movement, marking the final phase of the struggle against British colonial rule. Exactly 60 years later, the calendar hit 2001. Saturn returned to Rohini, and Jupiter fell right back into that exact same alignment. Almost immediately, the September 11th attacks ignited the global war on terror, introducing a sprawling conflict that engulfed the Middle East and the West. By December, that tension spilled into South Asia. The attack on the Indian parliament led to Operation Parakram, pushing 2 nuclear-armed neighbors to the absolute edge of war. The data points from 1941 and 2001 show a repeating equation. The Guru-Shani alignment takes existing diplomatic friction and scales it into paradigm-shifting, border-crossing conflict. 1971 breaks that specific pattern. Saturn was still in Rohini, but the secondary planets created a different astrological matrix, driven by the lunar nodes Rahu and Ketu, known as the shadow axis. Look at the schematic. Saturn was in position, but Rahu and Ketu occupied nakshatras owned by Saturn, pulling the system into a volatile tension. Instead of escalating into global warfare, this shadow tension physically fractures the map, forcing the violent redrawing of national borders. In December 1971, the Indo-Pak War broke out. Within weeks, the map of South Asia was redrawn, resulting in the independence and birth of Bangladesh. Meanwhile, Cold War boundary lines were being erased. The United States began normalizing relations with Communist China, shifting the global balance of power against the Soviet Union. That shadow axis also introduced a new form of targeted violence. The Munich massacre during the 1972 Olympics forced the introduction of 24-hour armed surveillance at international events and a total overhaul of airport screening standards. The historical record separates the two alignments. The Guru-Shani conjunction scales up total war, while the Rahu-Ketu shadow axis specifically fractures and rebuilds the map of the world. The historical data suggests that Rohini Shakat Bhedan acts as a consistent trigger for global restructuring. According to the astronomical data, Saturn will next cross into the Rohini constellation in July 2030. With the 30-year cycle resetting, the historical patterns we've seen in 1941 and 2001 provide a specific map for the kind of upheaval we can expect in the coming decade. In the Padma Puran, King Dasharatha tried to solve this crisis by flying into the sky and drawing his bow against the planet Saturn itself. We don't have arrows that can reach the stars, but we do have Vedic astrology, an ancient system of data science that allows us to map these repeating cycles long before they hit. The planets will align exactly as they are scheduled to. Tracking these cosmic triggers is our only way to prepare for the inevitable arrival of the next Shakat Bhedan.